UKVIA was formed 3 years ago, and it represents some of the largest manufacturers, retailers and distributors and brands of vaping products in the UK. And we act as their representative in the press and to regulators to ensure that the positive message about vaping gets out to the general public and smokers. Absolutely not. And in fact, Public Health England have come out on many occasions over the last couple of months to make sure that they're reiterating that vaping is at least 95% less harmful. Now, I think the big difference between the UK and the US is the US is looking for a solution that is 100% safe. Nothing in this world that we do is 100% safe.
Indeed.
So it's a goal they will never achieve. I think secondly, the UK makes decisions based on science. They make decisions based on what the data is telling them, and not on what a moral decision is. So, should people who don't smoke vape? The answer to that question is no. Should smokers vape? If they can't give up by any other means, then yes, vaping is a better alternative for them. And I think this is the big difference in mindset between the US and the UK, and that's why the UK is being more successful. It's difficult to say just yet. We've just got the new government in place. We'll know a little bit more in the new year when we know what the guidance is for us coming out of the EU. But the UKVIA has been involved with regulators for a number of years now. So we already know what they think, and we've been able to shape and guide their decisions on that. So there are positives in any changes that we make. For instance, around the tank sizes. The government don't understand why we have a 2 mil tank level, and the facts don't back that up. I think the nicotine strength that we use has the ability to be a little bit stronger than the current levels, but not a free-for-all like in the US. So I'm thinking maybe a 25 milligram and maybe 30 milligram level. The other thing that's at play here is bottle sizes, for instance. So we have a piece of regulation that's making us use 10 ml bottles for no scientific reason, okay? Yes. But we have the EU and the UK who are saying that single-use plastic is a big issue for the planet. Now you have a piece of legislation that's forcing us to use those. So these don't make sense. So our government really does understand that parts of the TPD are not fit for purpose. But things like testing of products, and marketing of products in a responsible way, that will stay. And we may even see things like short fills, for instance, being included in that testing. And one thing that the UKVIA is looking at is possibly registering or licensing vape stores and using that money to help fund enforcement of our current regulations. The UK market does have some youth uptake, but we've done many different things to make sure that that is minimized. So the first thing that we have is we have robust regulations that other countries don't have. So we do restrict how our products are marketed and where they're able to be shown. So that's one thing that's helped. But we have different areas that are being monitored here by Action on Smoking for Health, by the NHS, and they look at youth vaping every single year. And what they find is that only about 1.6% of young people vape, but the majority of those were previously smoking. So they're actually doing something that's better for them. But if you take a look at how many of those young people who have never smoked before are vaping, that number is very, very small. It's less than half of 1%. So all of these things combined and this consistent monitoring has ensured that we don't have a youth epidemic like they do in the US. We've been extremely involved with that. We just recently did a big press release, primarily because of what's happening in the US. And Innokin, you did your bus advertising, which was extremely successful. So our members are always looking at ways that they can help fund positive messages about vaping. But as an industry, it's difficult to do that with the TPT regulations. But what we have found is, as an association, because we're not a single brand or we're not promoting a single type of vaping device, we're allowed to say a little bit more than a single company can as itself. So I think it's important for the industry to leverage that, and association really helps with that. Well, Vapor came about 2 years ago when, under the current rules, the UK runs a stop smoking awareness month called Stoptober. And they do promote vaping as an alternative, but the strange thing about that rule is, as a brand, as an industry, we can't use that. So we decided, well, why don't we start our own? Okay, so our members, with only 6 weeks to decide, came up with the idea of that April was going to be the month that we did it. So you'll have April and vaping combined as April, right? So we kicked that off 6 weeks, and it was so successful that the 2 days before we launched, politicians that we deal with came to us and said, we would like to launch this in Parliament. So the first year we had a banner outside of the Parliament with all of the leading politicians all talking about vaping. During our Prime Minister's question times, which is broadcast live to the nation every day, 2 of the MPs stood up and talked about this wonderful campaign that UKVIA members, without a single penny of government money, were running to promote vaping and help smokers do something better. So this was a wonderful thing. Now in year 2, we get even bigger. So we learned from year 1. We branded up a big store in Covent Garden, the most prestigious area in London. We branded it up. People could come in and look at all of our members' products and try them. We had our members running stop smoking clinics in their stores, and manufacturers like Innokin were providing hardware so that we could give free kits out to people who were looking to stop smoking all around that 1 month. And it's just to keep that positive awareness with the consumers. So now in year 3, we're now looking at how do we take Vapor and make it worldwide. So we're talking with people in the US, in South Africa, in Germany, and they want to run their own version of Vapor as well. So year 3 now will be international. I would just say that, you guys are doing a great job. Your products are really at the forefront of innovation, and I think it's really important, especially as the world looks at safety of vaping. And the US, this epidemic is a great sign of that. It's nothing to do with the hardware. It's nothing to do with the nicotine liquids. This is an illegal substance that somebody has put in a vaping device that it's not designed for. So we really need to make sure that we're explaining that to people all over the world, so they understand that this is not a vaping issue. This is an e-joint, issue, and that they are 2 different things. But I think, from the manufacturer's perspective, it's really important to keep that safety in mind, because that's what the public is looking for, to make sure that vaping is as safe as it can be. Hardware is the heart of that.